Alright guys, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're new to the channel and if you happen to enjoy this video. So I just got finished watching this ifltv interview. By the way, shout out to ifltv. They always do these great interviews, these very insightful interviews where they get a lot of information out of, you know, fighters and promoters. And when it comes to like Kugan Cassius and Eddie Hearn, they have a really close relationship. You know, he tends to tell Kugan Cassius basically everything first than he reveals to anyone else, any other reporter. And he basically exposes how much Luis Ortiz actually turned down, and it was actually $7 million. He says that on Thursday, April 18th, Jay Jimenez or Jimenez actually reached out to him first and told them about, you know, trying to get a fight with Luis Ortiz and, you know, Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn says that he told him he offered him $6 million. So that's actually more than the $5 million. The whole time everybody was saying it was $5 million. Eddie Hearn initially first offered Jay Jimenez, Luis Ortiz, $6 million. And he said that Jay Jimenez didn't respond to him. He didn't get back to him. But then he said they talked again, and he said on Monday, which would probably be what, if I'm correct, it would be like April 20th, 21st. He says that he came back with the oh, and by the way, he said that when he first spoke to Jay Jimenez through text, he says that Jay Jimenez said that he doesn't know if Luis Ortiz would be ready. He said that was the first thing that Jay Jimenez told him, right? And then he says that Jay Jimenez told him actually Luis Ortiz wants this fight to happen, right? And of course, like I said, his first offer was $6 million. Then Eddie Hearn says that on Monday he then offered him $7 million, and he goes on to say that that was the most he was willing to offer Luis Ortiz, $7 million up front to face Anthony Joshua, right? And then he says that obviously he goes on to see. Oh, and by the way, he also says that not only did he offer Luis Ortiz $7 million, the biggest payday of his entire professional boxing career, but he also offered him a rematch clause. He said that he told Jay Jimenez through text that he'll offer him $7 million, and if he beats Anthony Joshua, he'll offer him obviously more money. So, like I told you guys, this was one of the dumbest things that Luis Ortiz did, or his team did, by refusing, you know, rejecting this fight. Is because he would have made the highest payday of his entire career, $7 million, and had he beaten him, because there's some people that feel he would have beaten Anthony Joshua. Let's say he actually did beat Anthony Joshua, he would be making, you know, double in the rematch. As Eddie Hearn said, he would have gotten paid more money. And then he goes on to say that he was pissed off at, you know, because he felt that Jay Jimenez, when he went out and he talked about this Lowball, he felt that like he was trying to tarnish the reputation of Matchroom, you know, Eddie Hearn, you know, basically the, you know, Matchroom, and he felt like that's why he came out and said he was going to expose. And then he explained that, you know, obviously Jay Jimenez knew that Eddie Hearn was going to expose the fact that he offered him $7 million, so that's why he came out to the Boxing Voice and said actually it wasn't a low ball. Because, you know, at the end of the day, Jay Jimenez had this thing where he was acting as if Eddie Hearn was offering Luis Ortiz $100K. And then you had all these LDBC channels going around saying, hey man, Eddie Hearn is doing the same thing he did with Dillian White. He's lowballing. They had no idea how much the offer was, the LDBC channels. No idea. But if you remember when this news first broke out, where Jay Jimenez came out and he was like, listen, they lowballed us. If you guys remembered, all the LDBC channels immediately said, oh, Eddie Hearn, he don't really want this fight because he offered Ortiz shit money, but they had no idea how much the offer was. So this actually makes the LDBC look stupid, or at least all the LDBC channels who were accusing Eddie Hearn of being a cheapskate and stuff, because we end up finding out that it was actually $7 million, right? And then he also reveals in this interview that he has been told that, that Jay Jimenez told him that Luis Ortiz is guaranteed to fight Deontay Wilder, and that's why and he even says, I hope that he gets $70 million. But like I told you guys, he's not gonna give. And this also just exposes the fact that I told you guys, Al Heyman did not allow, because he says Eddie Hearn that Jay Gemini's blamed the promoter, but I truly blame Al Heyman. Al Heyman did not allow Luis Ortiz or Jay Gemini to take this fight because he wanted to save him for Deontay Wilder. He did not allow Luis Ortiz to receive a record high payday because he wanted to save him for the Deontay Wilder rematch. And Eddie Hearn says, I hope Luis Ortiz receives $7 million, right? But then he says, he goes on to basically say, but I doubt it. And I doubt it too. I wouldn't be shocked if this guy makes $800K. And it just goes to show you, Luis Ortiz actually wanted this fight, but Jay Jimenez, they fucked it up for him. They were the ones who said no. They were the ones who went out and said this guy was lowballing us. They try to make Matchroom look bad as a, boxing company. They were the ones who basically said that. So, he also confirms, by the way, that Andy Ruiz is basically, the terms are agreed, and basically we're gonna hear pretty soon that that the fight's gonna happen. He talks about something that I mentioned, and that was the fact that Andy Ruiz has a Mexican following, and he also talked about the fact of his physique. I told you guys that Andy Ruiz, he doesn't look like a boxer, and he also talked about the fact that he felt that when it came to quality, because he was thinking of guys like Michael Hunter, Trevin Bryan, Andy Ruiz, and he felt that if you would have picked Trevin Bryan, it wouldn't be as a credible fight for Anthony Joshua as opposed to facing Andy Ruiz. And I agree. Trevin Bryan has fought nobody. Trevin Bryan, he's unbeaten, but he has fought no one. Nobody would have given Anthony Joshua credit for beating Trevin Bryan. If Joshua would have destroyed Trevin Bryan in 2 rounds, nobody would have given him credit for that. They would have been like, who cares? Who's Trevin Bryan? He's no one. At least we know who Andy Ruiz is. So I'm actually very happy that Eddie Hearn did not choose Trevin Bryan, because he would have done absolutely nothing. People say Andy Ruiz will do nothing for Joshua. Trevin Bryan will do nothing for Joshua. Even Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter hasn't done anything at heavyweight. He hasn't. Yes, he fought Usyk at cruiserweight, but guess what? He lost against him. So it wasn't like he beat Usyk. That would be different. I'd be like, oh, hey, he beat Usyk, right? So I'm actually, like I said, this was the best option. So I actually agree with Eddie Hearn, and I've been telling you guys since this fight was rumored to be happening next, this is the guy that the most credible guy out of Manuel Char, out of Trevin Bryan and Michael Hunter. Obviously, Luis Ortiz would have been even more credible, but again, it was his fault, his team's fault that fight got rejected. So there you have it, guys. Now you guys know $7 million was the amount of money that Luis Ortiz could have made, but his dumb manager, Jay Jimenez, fucked it up for him. His dumb promoter fucked it up for him, and Al Heyman fucked it up for him. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'm out.